Hey guys, I want to spend a few moments today just going over our walkthrough form that we utilize here at Pactolus so that you can review this video at any time and will also help cut down on our time in our staff meeting. So just kind of give you a real quick overview. So Mr. Neal and I, we will utilize this walkthrough form when we go into your classrooms, and it's designed to give you feedback and to help you grow. It's not designed to pull anybody down or make anybody feel inferior, but it's really to help you support your growth. So I want you to be very mindful of that as we have these opportunities in your classroom, not only with walkthroughs, but observations. It's really to help you grow as an educator. Sometimes I know it is hard to get some feedback, and maybe it's also difficult to get feedback if we or maybe it's not presented us in the right way. So we're going to be mindful of that. But this is, like I said, it's really designed to help you grow as a teacher. So when you see Mr. Neal and I walk into your classroom, and we won't stick around for no more than 5 minutes, that is considered a walkthrough. Of course, observations last a little bit longer, but walkthroughs will be about 5 minutes. We will typically have a tablet with us or our Chromebooks that can turn into a tablet. All right. So I'm going to walk through this form with you, and then at our staff meeting, if you have any questions, if you would just make sure that you write those questions down, and then once we get in the staff meeting, I will allow for an opportunity for you to ask those questions. So the very first part up here is our mail, our email up here, and what I will do is, or Mr. Neal, the first thing that we'll do is we'll put our own emails in this spot right here, and this is will make sense in a few minutes why we are doing this, but we will put either my email or Mr. Neal's email, depending on who is doing the walkthrough. What I'll do is I'll come up here. I am the one that's observing Matkins, and I'm going to say I am going to do an walkthrough on Miss Garcia. All right. So far, it's pretty easy, right? Whenever I'm in Miss Garcia's classroom, if it is for reading, reading time, I will click, of course, the subject of reading. But of course, you can see you have ELA reading, math, science, social studies, or if encore, if you're an encore teacher. Essential question statements. So the instructional coaches are helping out with this piece, but we will look to see if you've got what we call your EQs stated on the front of your board. Those are just statements that we can pull from Canvas, and we will look to see if that is up there. So we'll say yes if it's posted. If you reference them during the lesson, meaning you actually start off your lesson by talking about the EQ, which is really what we want to see happen, then we'll also click that. And of course, if you don't have it posted, it's not the end of the world, but we'll just make a note here and make sure that you know how to have those posted on the front and where to access those. The next piece up here is the teacher engagement. We just want to know what you're doing while we are in there. So we're going to say Miss Garcia was walking around monitoring at the time. Of course, if we see a lot of sitting at the desk, we're just going to ask you very politely if you would just be mindful of your attention to your students, because your students will feed off of that if you're always constantly sitting down. The next piece is our look fors. So when you're looking, when we're going to your classroom, these are some of the look fors. Of course, we understand that you're not going to hit every one of these, and we don't need to see every one of these in your classroom. But these are some things that we're going to be looking for to see if you do have them. So anchor charts. So not only are they present, but are you working on them? Are you completing them, creating them with the students at the time? Are you referencing? So those are the things that we're looking for when it comes to anchor charts. So we're going to say Ms. Garcia was using one. Graphic organizer. Are the students using a graphic organizer? Are you going over the graphic organizer with that part of their notes? However you may be using that graphic organizer. High level questioning. This is always one of my favorites. I always give the good example of, a low level question is, what color is the sky? Blue. Well, a higher level question is, why is the sky blue? So we really want to look at how you start to level your questions. So of course we understand that you may need to start off at a low level when it comes to questioning, but how do you scaffold in and build up those level of questions? So we're going to say Ms. Garcia was doing some high level questioning with her pre-K students. Scaffolding and intervention, maybe it's during your intervention block and we can clearly see that you're using interventions and you're scaffolding back. We will show that up here. If you're using small groups, or if you're using small group instruction, or both, we will make note of that. So let's say Ms. Garcia was using that. Student collaboration can look in a lot of different ways. So just looking to see if you have students collaborating, not necessarily something that you have to do every time, but we'll look at that. If the students are taking an assessment, whether it be formal or informal, we can make note of that. Teacher modeling, are you modeling? Is this an opportunity what you're trying to model for the students? Using technology can be just as simple as the students using Chromebooks, or you're using your smart panel, smart board, a lot of different opportunities there. Utilizing academic vocabulary, we know how important vocabulary is in all of our subjects. So if you're doing something with vocabulary, then of course, we click that one. We'll say Ms. Garcia was utilizing academic vocabulary. The next one is whole group instruction. That's just direct instruction. Lecturing sometimes is what it can be called. And of course, writing, we know that we were talking about how important writing is this school year. So writing or writing across the curriculum. Now, this is just a very short list. We did not want this to be a big, long drawn out list of things. So if there's some other things that are going in your classroom that we don't necessarily see up here, what you'll see is that we'll click look for other, and we will highlight what that look for was. Once again, I just want to make sure that you know we're not looking for all these things in your classroom at one time. We're just looking to get a snapshot. You may have had the students they may have been doing a graphic organizer before we got in there, but we didn't get a chance to see it. It's okay. We understand that happens. We can't be in the classrooms all day long, but we can see those things in lesson plans. So just know that's just a real quick snapshot of what we are looking at your classroom. What I do a lot, and Mr. Neal will do as well, is we spend a lot of time talking about the feedback from the look fors. So a lot of times, teachers will look to see what was clicked, but I give a lot of comments on these look fors here. So this is where I'll kind of talk about what I saw. I'll ask you questions. I will pose different things that you could possibly do to help out with that scenario that you were possibly dealing with that I saw. So I'm just going to put in here, pretend that I have typed up this nice good thing about what I saw. And then I'm going to pose this question of, how do you create student groups? Okay, very simple question, but I want to ask those questions just so that it will kind of get you thinking. Maybe, hey, Ms. Garcia said, hey, you know what, I just put them randomly, but maybe I need to go back and look and see how do I create student groups that are a little bit more purposeful. So these questions like that, I'll just post some. Mr. Neal will post some. It will deal with a lot of different things. Once again, please don't be offended if we ask questions. It's sometimes just for us to learn more about what was going on in the classroom before we got in there. So please, please, please don't be offended when we ask questions. We're trying to learn what's going on. And we also want to do what's right for the kids, and asking questions sometimes can pose some good things for us as educators as well, okay? So what I'll do is I will then submit it. So normally this feedback form will go directly to the teacher, but if you remember, I put in at the very top my personal email. And the reason is because I will get the Google form, all right? And this is what it will look like. Tell you who it came from, who was the teacher, subject, all the things that I clicked, it will show up here as well. What I will do is I will forward this to you as the teacher, and also Miss Morning. I may in this email give you a little, hey, kudos, I love what I saw, but I will also, if I have a question, I will say, please refer to the question below. Now, what I'll do is I'll of course send that to you. Miss Morning will get it too. And you're probably asking, why is Miss Morning getting these as well? So once I send this to Miss Garcia, she's going to go look through, and she's going to come down here and she's going to say, how do you create student groups? What we want to have happen is Miss Garcia is going to hit reply all, and she will send an email back to let me know how she created her student groups. So it's very important. Previous years, we would send things and some people would respond back to the questions, and some, kind of looked at them and probably thought about them wholeheartedly. But what do we want to do this year is make sure that we're continuing this reflection process here. So when you get this email and you respond back and you reply all, what Miss Morning is going to do is she's going to copy your response. So whatever question we pose, she's going to copy your response. And we have everybody has their own Google document. And what she will do is she will copy the question and also paste your response in. And the reason that we're doing this is just so that we can help provide you with some evidence at the end of the school year for your PDP. But it also can be a talking point of, hey, this is some things that we saw throughout the year. Let's have a good summative and let's look at the walkthroughs that we had completed on you this year, not just the observations, but also the walkthroughs as well. So this will kind of give us a good kind of list of all the things together to say, hey, you know what? We asked a lot of questions about how Ms. Garcia did student grouping. Next school year, or maybe in January, let's sit down with Ms. Garcia and help her with student grouping, because we see that as a common theme in the walkthroughs that we've been through. It's not a, I got you. It's not of, oh, we're going to document this because you're not doing that. Please understand that that's not the purpose of this process. The purpose of this process is to help you grow. The only thing I'm asking you to do as an educator is to just respond back to the questions if we pose a question. If we don't pose a question, you're good. There's no issues there at all. You don't have to worry about doing anything. But if we do pose a question, we just want to make sure that we're responding to those questions so then we can help provide you with the support that you need in the months, the years to come, okay? So a couple of things just to keep in mind. Just kind of respond to those walkthrough forms within 36 hours. If necessary, if of course there is no question, then you don't have to respond to it. But if you would just kind of do it in a timely manner. Keep your responses also for yourself. You can make a folder in your Gmail where you just say walkthrough feedback responses. So therefore you can have that as an evidence for your PDP as well. And like I said, Ms. Morning will keep your responses on file and we'll review those throughout the year to make sure that we're providing you all the support that you need as well. And we can kind of look at some common themes that, hey, we've been into your classroom. We haven't really seen this aspect or this look for. We've been in your classroom. How do we get you? How do we support you to help get to that stage? Okay. So I kind of went over this really quickly. Think about all the questions that you may have. And then at our staff meeting Wednesday, we will talk about any questions that you may have, but I won't go through this entire process. You now have this video that you can look at any time. Okay. Thank you very much.